So welcome once again to another Big Brain Media podcast. We're joined here today by Nathan, aka Bliestek, and myself, Joel from Oz. How you doing, Nathan?
Yeah, I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good.
That's good.
Now, we're talking about the Apple Spring event that's just happened recently, and a few of the talking points in that I found very interesting. Starting with the first and kind of the weirdest announcement for them to lead on was the iPhone in purple.
Yeah, no, I must admit I don't actually mind the color, but it feels weird that it was just such a random drop.
They're sort of like, hey, to start things off, this amazing thing. And it's got like a full production video for it and stuff. And it's just like, iPhone now in purple. Okay. I guess that's cool. I mean, you could have just added that as a footnote, to be honest.
That's right. That's right. Or just made it randomly show up on the website, an extra color.
Yeah, I mean, it would have gotten people talking, and it's not that big a point, you know.
Yeah.
But speaking of like the big video for the iPhone in purple, the one that sort of made my jaw drop a little bit was the next thing we'll get to in a sec is the AirTag announcement video. The dude crawling into the couch. Did you see all that?
Oh yes.
It's like a 3-minute bit that is like movie quality production of this guy climbing through caves and stuff. Yeah. I'm just like, wow.
That was super
really
well done.
Upped the quality of like their production value here.
Yeah.
It's through the roof. I'm like, oh my God, Apple. Obviously, they're sitting around their offices bored at the moment.
Well, I mean, it's probably like, now they've got the Apple TV, production stuff going for all their movies and stuff. They're like, oh, we got all this gear now. Let's do it all proper by all our producers and stuff, editors. I mean, why not? It's definitely makes people talk about it.
The idea of that too, like they're just sitting around. They're like, "Hey, we got ties with like Industrial Light and Magic and stuff now, like the VFX guys. Should we just like palm this bit off to them? I reckon they can do it really well, and they do like the whale under the water and stuff, you know."
Yeah, that's it.
Like,
I love it. I reckon it's just like they just do such a good job of keeping it realistic too. Like it's not like, I mean, obviously the going through the couch thing wasn't realistic, but even just the effects, the transitions going between the people talking, when the dude's
zooming
through
about,
real life objects,
the iPad, and he walks through out onto the boat he's like, so you get great reception out in this bay. I'm like, oh, that transition was smooth.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And even like, I think where one thing flew through the grass up to Tim Cook, and there was like a bee hovering in the grass and stuff like that.
Past the bee. I vividly remember that as someone who's allergic to bees and petrified of them. They're like, oh, let's just zoom in on this. I mean, I'm like, triggering.
Yes.
But to get to what is the highlight for me personally, because it's the thing I am definitely going to buy, the AirTags. Finally here, rumored in 2019 and sort of like included within the software and stuff. And finally announced. How amazing.
I know. Super exciting. I definitely be getting some, that's for sure.
Yep.
I've heard a few rumors already that I don't know if you've seen it, but some of the competitors are getting a bit grumpy with Apple about it.
Wait, what?
Tile.
Oh, yes. I've heard about this.
They're like, about the end, they went to the anti-competitive. What was today? Apparently they did a big spiel to some court thing about it today. Yesterday or yesterday, something like that. Yeah.
See, but here's the thing: they can't really complain about not being able to compete because Apple. Well, they've basically released a tile that works on like the Apple stuff. But Tile does have access to the same Apple stuff. Like this isn't Apple releasing something that no one else can do. This is Apple releasing their own product that does something that everyone else can do.
Yeah, I think the big thing was I looked a bit more into it because I think it's very the way the media puts it is very superficial.
Yeah.
You don't get the proper content. But my understanding is it really stems from the fact that Tile want to use their own app. They don't want to use Apple's Find My app because that's very what's the word? It's very Apple specific, and Tile is an Android-based product and an iPhone-based product.
Yep.
So
I've seen this too because Tiles will communicate amongst themselves within their app type thing. So if you find, I think it's a case of if you find someone else's tile, it will register with the app and be able to locate, like show that person the location.
Yeah, and it can work a similar way as well. Like where if I've just got the Tile app and I'm in the vicinity of one of your tiles, it can use my phone automatically to try and find your tile without any input from me. So I may not even know that it's happening. So similar to what will happen with the Apple device one, but it uses Bluetooth only rather than whatever the new one is. I can't think of what it's called. The Apple one. Where it's what's it called?
Oh, you're talking to locate it?
Yeah, to locate it.
It's a U1 chip, which is
that's right.
I think it's ultra wideband or something. UWB.
Yeah. So,
but because I also read if Tile releases a product that uses Find My stuff, it's actually tied to the Find My stuff. It can't be a dual purpose.
Product. Oh, okay.
Like it can't use their own app and Find My. It's either or.
Yeah. So I think this is where they're coming down to it because they're actually preventing them from them from using their own product outside of an Apple ecosystem.
Yep.
Which is not. Which I get it, and the thing is also with their using their own app, Tile also have a subscription model as well. I mean, there is free, but there's
seen that.
Yeah, so if they went just purely using Find My, then obviously they can lose all these abilities. So I understand where they're coming from. I think really what should happen is that it should be I can make a device that can utilize both the U1 and just general Bluetooth, so it'll work both with Android devices and iPhone. That way, you think about it, if you could make it use both, you actually got your percentage of finding the device is even higher because
but
all the Android
sort
users.
Of point from before, and keep in mind, I haven't done my homework here. I'm only going by what other people have said, but it seems like you can't really make that dual device. There's something about the way they do it, and I don't know details.
Yeah,
but it seems like because
it almost has to be like two devices in one.
Well, why don't they just get to work with both? And there's other people going, they can't.
Yeah.
So it just sounds like a technical limitation that's been imposed by Apple, which would explain why they want to make anti-consumer claims. Which,
yeah, and because the thing is that what would be great is if Apple could make it so that third parties can utilize the Find My network without having to use the Find My app specifically.
Without being tied to it.
Yeah, without being tied to it, which, hey, it's possible it could come. But, I mean, it's new, right? And ultimately, from what I read, Apple, I think towards the end of last year or early this year, actually went to these tag developers, including Tile, and basically presented them, telling them what they can do and how they can do it. Then Apple obviously got to a point a couple of weeks ago where they unlocked Find My and they announced that it was open for others, and then others already, I think Belkin and some others released one or something like that. And then so they did that before they even released theirs. So they actually gave a head start to their competitors. They didn't. It wasn't like something that they just brought out the blue, start off with their products, and give other people time to join in. It was like, no, we'll make something that you guys can do first, and then we'll join in. So, like, I think that's good of them to have done that. They didn't have to.
Yeah.
But Tile didn't do it. Tile didn't make one. So that's whose problem is that?
Again, I've seen a bit of a rumor that Tile does have an Apple Find My compatible Tile getting released in the near future.
Yes, but they haven't done it before Apple released that. So that's the thing, is they could have done it, but they didn't do it in the time frame before Apple released their own. Whereas I think there was 3 other companies that have already made one, and they released it when Apple opened up Find My a couple of weeks ago. So I mean, that's on tile. Like if they didn't release the product before Apple did, that's not Apple's fault. Apple gave them time. So
I think it's another one of these cases of, there's a company that's sort of super specific within their lane, and they're upset because they've got more competition. So they're going to try and use the law to bend that competition like in their favor. Another one of these, I don't like how they're doing it. It's better than what we're doing it. Make them worse.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Definitely.
Anyway,
that's right. That's that.
Next
that's that one. Yep.
New chip in the Apple TV. It's the A12 chip they're up to now.
I think, I can't actually remember what it was off the top of my head.
It's the same as what's in the iPhone 12s, and supports AirPlay HDR 60 FPS. So that means if you record HDR 60 FPS on your iPhone, you can now AirPlay it to your Apple TV. So it now supports all that.
Yep.
Which I thought was pretty cool, because one of the things that's kind of lacking at the moment is like the ability to get that video from your phone to a device that can play it in HDR. I mean, not a lot of computers like PCs support HDR.
Yeah.
TVs do.
Yeah.
But how do you get it on the telly?
Yeah.
Now
I know.
away.
Yeah, that's right. And I must admit, like, I record in 4K on my iPhone a lot. And I've definitely noticed when trying to AirPlay to, I've got the previous Apple TV 4K, and I've definitely noticed that I get jitter, and it's just not smooth. It's just like it definitely appears smoother when I do in 1080p. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And I mean, obviously, it depends on your wireless networks too. But
definitely.
But yeah, for sure, I'm really excited about it, and the Siri Remote. Too. I'm actually pretty interested in, and I'll be definitely be getting one of them, I reckon, for my current.
So that was
Apple
actually, believe it or not, that's one of the biggest selling points I've had for the Apple TV. So one of my problems with the previous Apple TVs is I'm pretty sure you told me you can control your whole TV setup from the Apple TV. That's correct, using HDMI control?
Correct, yes.
Yep. But from memory, the old remote was a little bit, what would you call it? Appley?
Yeah,
it was
there's a few different
TV
ones.
And more of their sort of, it was like they gamified it a little bit. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, it had the touchpad on the top, which was good, but it wasn't very like, I don't know if user friendly is the word. Like, if for someone who doesn't understand sort of how gestures work a lot, it probably wouldn't be that easy to pick up. And like one thing that irritated me so much about it is a power button. I'm like, it's so hard to put. Well, it's not. It's so hard to remember how to put an Apple TV to sleep. Like, and I'm like, why? It's so hard. It's just like, Whereas
and now it sounds like they've just put a power button.
There's just a power button. Just press the power button. I mean, I must admit, I don't really use the Apple TV remote at the moment. I use my TV remote to control my Apple TV because I just find it easier. But with this here, like I can control everything with the Apple TV remote at the moment. Although my current one is broken, but this new one will be brilliant. Just the ability to mute and full volume control and everything. And I mean, all I ever use my TV for is Apple TV, and occasionally my PlayStation. That's it. I don't use any of the other features of the TV. And you can control your sound bar and everything all from this. So I'm really excited about this one. I'm not sure if I'll use the Siri feature. I know a lot of people that do use Siri with Apple TV, but I'm still not sold on that. I find that sometimes it's, I don't know.
When you say Siri, just explain this to me as someone who doesn't have an Apple TV or have not really used one.
Yeah.
So what's the Siri feature on the Apple TV actually for? Like the same as on your phone, set timers, read messages?
No, my understanding is you can get it to like you can say, "Hey Siri, play Star Trek on Netflix," and it'll do all that for you. Which I can understand, because I mean, thinking about it is when you go to like Netflix or whatever, regardless if you use Apple TV or PlayStation or whatever you want to use, smart TV built in, you have to type one letter at a time.
Yeah, that's actually something I was going to ask, is whether it has like Siri's dictation.
Yeah, so it does. Yes, it does.
Fantastic.
But see, whilst I do understand how that can be good, one thing I do find with anything, not just Siri, but Google Assistant, all of them, is that they don't always understand what you say, even if you say it dead clear on, because they are really an American product.
Yeah, and I was actually going to say, if I say it in a really bad Louisiana accent, it seems to understand me better than just speaking plain old Australian English.
Like, hey, Siri. No, I can't. I'm not going to do it. I'm not even going to try. I was going to try and do an accent, but
you're like, no.
Yeah, but the one thing I do love, which is more relevant for me, which I already use, is that if you go to if you go to type in something in Netflix, if whatever devices you have that are connected to the same Apple account, they automatically come up on your, like a little thing pops up on my phone and says, do you want to type on your Apple TV? You just tap on it, and I can type on my phone, and it automatically puts it in. And that already exists, and that's when I use that all the time. I find that so much easier. I can type it so quickly. At the risk
of turning this into just me learning about Apple TVs to the point where I buy one.
Yeah, do it.
Can you, when your messages and that come to your phone, do they pop up on the TV and stuff?
Like text messages and stuff?
Yeah.
No, they won't show up on your TV. So nothing like that comes across the TV. It's more just that notification to like, do you want to type, will pop up. I mean, if you use HomeKit and stuff, you can get those HomeKit notifications to come up.
Yeah, it actually got me thinking, because I've got that non-HomeKit security system.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember that when they made HomeKit 2.0 or whatever it was, like the more recent one, and they talked about like when someone rings your doorbell, you can actually have it instantly live feed to your Apple TV.
Yeah.
Which is a cool feature. You can be sitting there wherever in your house, in your lounge room, watching TV, and next thing you know, ding dong, and it comes up, and you see it's your mother-in-law, and then you turn down the TV and you sit there in silence.
And turn all,
goes away.
And then you turn all your smart lights off. Like you say, hey Siri, code red. All your lights turn off. Everything goes dark. All your shutters go down.
Yeah, all the shutters. Your mother-in-law's just like, what the hell is happening?
Oh, Siri apparently heard me say code red. My watch just went off. But anyway.
Oh, no.
The
other thing with the Apple TV they covered, which is really cool, is the color adjustment. How cool.
Yes.
Using your phone to actually communicate to the Apple TV to adjust things so the color on your TV looks a bit better. And mind you, I'd be interested to see what the range is on it, because you're not actually changing the color on the TV itself, only the input. Yeah. So be interesting to see how well it works on a TV that's not really well set up, Yeah,
and my understanding is it will be always like it basically would just follow whatever your phone's colors change to. That'd be my understanding. I don't know if that's right or not. I was struggling
to. What do you mean phone color?
Like, all the True Tone stuff and all that as well. Because I assume it uses that
from
technology.
Because I actually rewatched the announcement before we start here. The True Tone sensor and the ambient light sensor are actually used as well as the camera when you hold it up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it gets a good feel of the warmth of the color and all that sort of stuff on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I must admit, I am curious. I actually think if it works well, I reckon it would be great. I'm one of those things I probably need to see it to believe that it can really do a lot, especially without actually adjusting any actual TV stuff.
I'm like, it sounds great, sounds impossible.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm intending to I'll probably end up getting one in the next 12 months or so. not going to rush because I've already got a 4K, but I'll need a second one for my second TV eventually. But definitely be interested to see how it goes. That's for sure.
Yep, fair enough.
Yeah.
The next thing, new iMac.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I definitely think that it obviously is a move forward. The old design's been around since I think 2007 or 2008, somewhere there, and it has changed very slightly, but not much. It's been pretty much kept the same overall design, especially from the front.
Yep.
Obviously, processing wise and everything like that, M1, it's great. I was hoping that the iMacs might pack a bit more of a punch than the MacBook, like the base MacBook straight off the bat, but that's probably a bit much to ask. And I mean, we've got to keep in mind they're only replacing the 21.5. They're not actually replacing the 27s with this yet.
Yes. One of the things that a lot of people were saying, because there's a lot of disappointment out there, people were expecting a powerhouse, but a lot of people were reminding them that this is like the home, your mum uses it sort of iMac.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, for that, it's way overpowered. Yeah. Like you're talking browsing Facebook and that sort of stuff. This isn't like a power station for using for like massive editing projects and stuff like that. This
is still as powerful as the MacBook Pros. So they are designed. They actually are really good for doing video editing and all that stuff.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Is this thing is made for browsing Facebook, but it can do like 4 streams of 4K editing at a time. Like this thing's still really
it's still more efficient and more powerful than the current i9 MacBook Pros. Like the i9 MacBook Pros, when they did bench testing against the M1s, in a couple of areas they just tweaked over the M1s, but it was so close. And you think about that, like the i9s are meant to be the bee's knees, and for an M1, an ARM-based M1, to come that close to an i9, it's kind of like, that's nuts. So obviously these are really powerful machines. It's just, can you ever have too much power?
I still think that, so the rumor that you heard a little while back about them, what was it, a 16 core or something? Like a M1X chip type thing?
Yeah, they were talking about,
I believe we'll see that in the larger laptops, and also like an iMac Pro or something along those lines get released. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me in the least.
They'll definitely release a 27-inch iMac. They'd be silly not to, because they're big sellers. So I dare say the 27-inch models will be their Pro lineup, essentially.
Yeah.
And so alongside the 16-inch
real interesting
MacBooks.
Thing to see, like benchmarks come from that.
Yeah. But I mean, overall, I think it's good. The one. Well, there's probably two things that I, design-wise, a little bit disappointed in. Yeah. First thing is I'm not a big fan of the white bezel. I have no idea.
Yeah, no one is. No, I was actually going to mention it myself. I'm like, who made that decision?
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, if you give an option, I understand, but to just make it a white bezel, I feel, I don't know. I don't know if you remember the old white MacBooks years ago. I mean, they were cool at the time, but they were cool then, not now.
I only ever saw one.
Yeah, no, they were like plastic, and they used to have a cracking and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. But it's white was cool then. White's not cool now. Dark, people tend to go for darker colors now, and I could get with Apple probably trying to get a bit more vibrancy back in things, and that's fine. But I think to take the option, especially the fact they don't even offer a the gunmetal grey, dark grey variant of the iMac, especially after that only just came in like not even that long ago, only a couple of years ago, with the MacBook Pros, to not offer the iMac in that, I think because they are really like nice businessy looking devices when they've got that nice sort of darker metal. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed in that too, because really, if I was going to buy one for work, straight out, I'd go silver, because the other ones are just not.
Yeah.
They're just too
I agree that they look a little bit. What's the word for it?
I don't know the word, but it's kind of like they are designed, like you said, for home use. It's kind of like, like let's set up this like play corner.
Yeah.
And, let's do stuff on it.
That's what I was thinking, like a toy, basically.
Yeah, But the thing is, it looks aesthetically pleasing. But the problem is you'll never see the back of your iMac because realistically, you're always going to have the back of it to the wall. You're not going to set it out on the bench in the middle of the kitchen.
Yeah. That's actually something that surprised me a little bit. Like Apple's obviously made this decision for whatever reason to have no branding on the front. And I expected like a little Apple logo. If they're going to have this massive bezel underneath, which looks like, I get people think it looks ugly. I'm maybe just a little too used to that in PCs. Yeah. So it doesn't worry me in the slightest. But I'm like, there's all this space. Put a little Apple logo. Yeah. Use it.
Yeah. That's right. I would say if you're going to have the bezel, put the Apple logo there. Do it.
Yeah.
Don't not have it because now it just looks odd.
and personally, again, like I'm not a designer. Maybe someone at Apple's a lot smarter than me saying this is a stupid idea. But so I'd put the Apple logo and, on the MacBook Pros are lit up. Yeah. That's what I'd do as well.
Yeah. Make something so cool like that.
When you start it up and shut it down, the logo lights up for, 10 seconds. Just to give you this little like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. You can make it like so when you get like notifications or something, it does a little flash or
that's cool.
Something like,
that's a good idea. Have it so it's got an RGB LED in it and you can flash it.
That's right.
On what they're not, notifications
They used to just do white light, but they could do RGB now because, well, even if they just do the color variations that they have, like that they use for the iMacs. But the one thing I think they should have done, like and you know what, it's possible they may do this for the higher end one. They should have where the actual system is in that bar down the bottom. Yep. I would have preferred the device to be a bit thicker and it to be in a screen without that, right? Because realistically, while from the side it looks great, but I'm like, does it really matter from the side? You're always going to be looking at it from the front. like I watched Marquis Brownlee.
Yeah. I've seen the same video.
Yeah. So it's just like I look at my screen on my desk. I don't care. They could be 5 inches thick. It does not. I must admit, I do prefer. I do notice the thickness, and I do prefer thinner. So I do disagree with him on that as well. But at the same time, I get what he's saying. Especially if the edge around the edges, if it was thinner, if it was thicker in the middle, like around where the stand is, you wouldn't notice from there, right? What I think is it should have been either a little bit thicker and somewhere else in the screen, or my thought was like, why not use the stand? Like the stand doesn't come off; the stand is part of the device. I don't know if you've seen them, but bigger, like NUC sort of PC style things there's some computers you can buy that have a computer built into the stand.
Not really.
I think HP and Acer and they do that. Now I must admit they're not overly appealing visually, but because of the way that Apple have built this and how small they can make it purely because of the way it's built, they could quite easily fit it into, like if they made it square rather than long like they did, they could quite easily fit it into the stand and make the stand just a little bit thicker. I mean, they only had to make the stand the same thickness as the thing. And really, from the front, you wouldn't notice it. And from the side, it wouldn't even be that big a deal. You'd barely even tell. It's kind of like, I don't know. I mean, there's obviously reasons they've done it the way they've done it. And I mean, even the other thing I did think about is, they've got the speakers in there, that special speaker setup they've got.
Yep.
But they all push the audio down through the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, straight down.
Why not, if you've got that real estate on the front, why not use it and make the speakers come out the front? Like you can make it almost invisible. Yeah, you can make it near invisible to the eye, but why not like do something there and make it? I just feel like it's too bare. I think, even like you said, just the Apple logo would make it just a little bit better. You know, if I got one, I'd probably go and get the Apple sticker. You know, you get the Apple stickers in boxes and stuff when you get iPhones and all that. You just get the Apple sticker and stick it there.
You put the sticker on the front.
Complete. I'm good now. Actually, hey, there could be a market for that. Maybe we should start making Apple stickers and sell them on eBay. Say just Apple sticker for the front of your iMac.
That's it. Just put on the iMac Apple sticker. People will buy it.
We'll start making them in the colours that you buy the iMacs in, and then there you go.
Yeah,
business proposition for you.
Chicken dinner. Yeah. All right. Well, moving forward, next one is because they also now have the M1 in the iPad
What was that, sorry?
Pro.
Oh, the M1.
Is it?
Yes. Yep.
The M1 in the iPad Pro, apparently.
Yeah.
And that brings it just a step closer to my dream of them getting rid of the MacBook Air and replacing it with the iPad Pro with a Magic Stand or whatever they call it with the keyboard.
Magic keyboard. Yeah. I mean, I've got an iPad Pro, the first of the edge-to-edge design. I can't remember what model it is. And I'm using the Magic Keyboard at the moment, and I love it. I think it's brilliant. I'm a little skeptical about the release of M1 with iPad at the moment. I feel like it's premature. I don't feel like the iPad is there yet. I think it's still got, software-wise, it's still got a lot of maturity to gain before.
Are you talking iPad OS? Like you're talking that's not mature enough, or the hardware itself isn't?
At the moment, the software, so iPad OS is not mature enough to actually utilize the M1.
That's actually exactly how I see it.
They could probably, obviously there'll be benefits to apps and all that sort of stuff using M1, but it's probably, I don't think it's going to be super noticeable yet, because they've still got to do things to iPad that they should have done ages ago, like the app drawer, right? On iPhone, iOS 14, you have that app drawer, app library, they call it. So you can, basically get rid of all your apps on your screen except the ones you want there, and then use the app library for everything else. Now, on an iPad, on a business workflow sort of iPad, if you're using it for business purposes, that would be amazing, because you can you don't get all this stupid clutter of all these apps. You need them you want them on your iPad, but you don't use them all the time. And it's kind of like, why are you there? You just got this mess of pages, and
I think it's only a matter of time.
I do agree, but see, this is my point, and same with widgets. Actually, widgets, you can't even put widgets everywhere, but my point is that should have come before the M1. I mean, not saying that they can't do it afterwards, but I feel like that fix the bigger problems before you fix something that's probably not necessary, because the processor in the latest iPads is pretty beefy, and they do a really good job as they are. I don't think you're gonna there's obviously a performance increase, but the only people that are going to notice it right now is going to be the absolute performance suckers. People that are constantly doing video editing on them and all that. They're the only people going to notice right now, because I don't feel that iPad OS is actually optimized for such fast processing of bits and pieces yet. So
I personally see it as them laying a good foundation now. To put that software out later. So you could buy a 1 or 2 year old M1 iPad Pro, and at that point, a couple of years after them, maybe the software has actually matured to the point where that is good enough. And even though the M3 might be out by then, they you've already got that sort of foundation there to use the modern software.
Yeah, and I guess I do get it, but I don't know. I do see both sides of the coin. See, the one thing that I have no doubt in my mind that this will happen is, now that M1 will be in the iPad, people who jailbreak will figure out how to try and port macOS across. I mean, it's the same processor.
Go for it. See, again, I'm a big believer in the iPad Pro should essentially clip onto that little magic stand and be Mac OS and full functionality, because why shouldn't it?
Yeah. And I like the way, because they're obviously making apps cross-compatible now and all that, there's the lines blurring, and even without the M1 in the current iPads, the lines are starting to blur. But eventually, I think even Mac. So I reckon there'll be a bit more of a hybrid between iPad and Mac. So like Mac OS will eventually sort of evolve to be more, I don't know, appy. I don't know if that's the word. Sort of like tablet-y style, and then I think that iPad will be evolved to be a bit more Mac-y style, and there'll be like a nice hybrid in between. That's what I think will happen. I don't think Mac OS will ever make its way onto an iPad, like by Apple's blessing. But I do think, because I think that iOS is really where their future is heading. So that's why I foresee Mac OS sort of moving more that way. Don't know if Mac OS would ever go anywhere, but I still see it moving more to become more like its little siblings. But I don't know. Like I said, I think the M1 iPad would excite me more if they had done the software problems. Like they fixed them first, because at the moment, I must admit, I've thought about upgrading, and seriously about upgrading to the M1 iPad, and more so because then I can hand mine down to Tash, because she's got the first gen iPad Pro or second gen iPad Pro, the last of the ones with the home button. So like it's probably not nice time for her to upgrade and me to upgrade. But that would be the only reason, because of in terms of like timing. I'm like, would the M1 iPad benefit me right now? No.
You know what I'd do if I were you, if you are considering getting the M1 iPad?
Yeah.
Wait until, is it July they do WW, like the Worldwide Developer Conference, which obviously will only be videos, but see what they're doing with Mac OS, with iPad OS.
iOS 15,
I'm
iPad
actually
OS 15.
super curious to see if they really push some of the features in that, if they have that hardware there.
Yeah.
But if they don't, well, then they just wasted it.
Yeah. I guess it's probably more, obviously it's a personal thing, and there's no doubt it's great what they've done, and especially the I must admit, one thing that actually did sell me on that iPad was that 120 degree front camera.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that bit where
I was
the
actually going to bring
camera
that up
follows
a little
you?
bit.
Yeah, like just the fact that you can be doing a FaceTime call or whatever, and you can move around, like can be doing a class even. Yeah, and just for the fact that it can follow you and zoom in on you automatically and all this sort of stuff, I'm like, that's actually a really cool feature.
They actually have implemented that so freaking, and even like the idea of the feature they've done really well. Yeah. Because I've seen, and this is something that annoys me, is in security cameras, they have this like auto zoom feature that can follow around the crim and, zoom in on their face. All it does is crop the image down to them, and it looks terrible because you're losing all your peripherals. So if someone throws a brick through your window off screen and the camera's like, look at this cat, look at that cat, it's a worthless feature.
Yeah.
The iPad center stage feature, they're like, you could use it best like for, like you said, a FaceTime call to your family if you're doing something, and it'll follow you around, and it does it in these nice, smooth, flowing motions and that, and looks really professional and cool.
Yeah.
So I was actually a little bit sold on that.
And also, me too. But it also is like, I find sometimes when you're doing FaceTime calls that you struggle to get everyone in the FaceTime call. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people are right on the edge. You're sitting next to each other. The fact is that, if you sit it there, if I'm talking, it will be focused on me. And then if the person next to me starts talking, it will move and focus on them. It will automatically rotate. Yeah. So it actually means that you've actually got to, if you've got people sitting down and stuff, who actually, be able to fit them into the call better. So, I really like that. So, not that I would use it all the time, but it would come in handy for sure. So I'm still 50-50. I mean, there's possibility I may upgrade.
Feature to have, really.
Yeah, and there's possibility I may upgrade to it. But it's just, I don't know. I'm not like, I'm gonna definitely get this tomorrow. The second it gets released, I'm gonna jump on it. I'll be like, I might wait for a couple of weeks and see how people, think it's performing, and then if any cool stuff shows up. So
I'd be waiting for that software. See what they're doing with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, regardless if I upgrade or not, I still should be eligible for that because my iPad's still within Apple's software assurance. Is it 5 years that I think it's 5 years before they drop software releases for the device.
Current iPad?
Yeah. So regardless, if I keep my current iPad or even if I upgrade, if they do anything with iOS 15, I'll get it on the new iPad, on the iPad I've got anyway. So.
Yep. More what I'm thinking is if they bring in additional features that leverage the M1's power, that's what I'd be looking for.
Yeah, true.
If they're up on stage and they go, now for the new M1 iPads, we can do this because it's, able to do it. You're like, sold.
Yeah. We have now deployed Mac OS. So if you go in there and go software update, it will now upgrade you to Mac OS.
And it's me just like sweating.
Or we've made it dual boot. You can either boot into iPad OS or Mac OS.
I've always said that their mobile devices have been my weak spot, like Apple's mobile devices. If they combine like their laptops, which are pricey but decent, with the iPad, which is amazing, we're like, oh no.
Yeah. I was thinking about when you were asking me about doing this podcast that I remember years ago, like when we first met, you were like, Apple, yuck, Apple. And now you're like, ooh, iPhone, iPad. I love it.
Yeah, their mobile devices always great. Like and when I say mobile, I mean if you can pick it up and move it, that device is probably pretty damn good. They put a lot of thought into them. But when it comes to their desktop devices, they've always been a bit premium price, lackluster product.
Yeah. They don't compare to a desktop machine at all, like in the Windows for gaming and stuff especially.
When it comes to functionality and, because the PC, you can use it for anything and they're also pretty powerful. iMac, you could use it for fuck all, and they're also really powerful. It's just like, okay, but you've got all this power, I can't use it unless I'm like editing video or whatnot. But the new iMacs, they're sort of changing the game there a little bit. They're making them more in line with the quality of their mobile devices by using their own hardware and focusing on user experience a little bit. So, good on.
No, I think it's all exciting. Definitely think that Apple are heading in the right direction. I think the move away from Intel has been a big part of it. I think they're really opening the door, even for other companies, to start to think about this, the ARM-based processors more, and what they could mean for things in the future. I mean, Microsoft's one of those companies that have started getting on that bandwagon. They've released one now that's ARM-based, so and it's meant to have like full-fledged Windows 10. So it's exciting. It brings the cost down to devices too, because it's a lot cheaper to make, especially if now they're making them in-house too. So, but yes, anyway, all exciting.
That's it. All right, at that we might call it a close. We covered just about everything in the announcement and all that sort of stuff. So thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That's all good. And we'll speak to you next time. You can be found on Twitch. You're, was it Bliestek?
Yes.
Or is it Bliestek? Oh, yeah, yep. Because you used to be Bliestek Gaming back in the day, didn't you?
I did, but I decided to be a person instead of a group. So.
Yeah, fair enough. And thanks for potting with me. I shall catch you next time.